Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our friend in Joburg. Good afternoon, Corne. It's good to see your face. You're just missing out on a wonderful vibe in this venue. Please show your appreciation to Corne. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I know it's been a long, long day. We've been busy since early this morning, some of us early last night, some of us didn't go to sleep because we went eating seafood, but I won't give any names away. But thank you so much, and I really want to this afternoon acknowledge the wonderful, wonderful support staff that are helping us, making this absolutely a memorable afternoon. You just have to turn around and somebody is there called the liaison officer, and my two ladies, Naomi and Nafika, they are just amazing. So, we've been listening to a wide variety of topics today, and with so much information. I just wish that we would start acting on the information that we are presented with in these forums, but also on a daily basis. So what Corne and I started off with, I must confess, Corne was dragged into this by me, not kicking and screaming, but quite willingly, because she is a research boffin or guru. We call them gurus here, Corne. So she's the research guru. She's the quant, I'm the qual. So we complement each other. And Justin asked us to do the survey, the 2024 survey, based on the 19th and 2022 survey. So to kick off the results of the survey, Corne is going to start with the first few slides, and then I'm going to take over with some of the qualitative data that we had. So Corne, I've started the clock. According to the planners, we have 20 minutes, but here we go. So let's see if I can move the slides. Where are our team? Is it the green? It's the green one. It's not the red one. Anybody else up here? It's the green one. Good. So Corne, over to you.
Thank you very much, Rene, and thank you very much for the opportunity to join you. I certainly wish I could be there in person, but this is certainly a good second best. So welcome to our presentation on global trends and insights about the practice of public relations. And here we look at a professional association overview. We've already been introduced, so I'm not going to do that again. I just want to start off by saying that this overview and this presentation is based on a comprehensive survey that we conducted across 21 countries. So I'm going to mention some of them in a moment. And if you are from one of those countries, you can just give a little shout out if you like, because we're very grateful for the participation of these countries. And just so that you know, the data represents around 68,000 members of professional associations worldwide. So we are indeed very grateful for that participation. So on this slide, you will see a map that will indicate the countries that participated. And it really included nations from all over a variety of continents. And the countries included are Australia, Bangladesh, Brazil, the Czech Republic, Germany, Hungary, India, Ireland, Kenya, New Zealand, Philippines, Poland, Portugal, Puerto Rico, South Africa, Sweden, United Kingdom, United States, Vietnam, and Zambia. So if there's people in the audience from these countries, a great hello to all of you, but of course all the others as well. We're not excluding anyone here. So we believe that this survey really provides quite a global perspective, and it really builds on the earlier reports from 2019 and 2022. We did expand a little bit on what we were asking from the professional associations, and that is what I'm going to share now. You can go to the next slide. Okay, so our methods and elements that was included in this study, in particular, we approached it from a mixed method approach, as Rene mentioned, both qualitative and quantitative data, and we relied on professional associations to provide the accurate data that we've received. In some instances, some of the associations didn't have the information that we have, and we are hoping that in the future there could be some country-specific surveys that could feed into this particular data collection. We used Qualtrics as a platform, and we looked at 4 broad areas: membership of practitioners, demographics of members, the context of work, and issues affecting the profession. So if we now look at the membership of practitioners, we found that most professional associations have membership numbers lower than 1,000, some quite small, but then we also have a couple that fits into the 1,000 to 5,000 category, and then a small number, 5,000 to 10,000, and only 2 over 10,000, which is from the UK and the USA. On the next slide, you'll see that there's a map that indicates the regions where most members are belonging to a public relations association and where they are situated. So there you can clearly see the darker colors are where there are more members in a particular country, and of course the lighter colors are where there are fewer members in that particular country. If we skip to the next slide, you'll see that we did a little bit of an analysis to have a look at what percentage of professional association memberships exist in relation to the practitioners in the country, because we know in many countries it's not mandatory to be a member of a professional association. And so it was quite interesting for us to do this analysis to get a sense of how many practitioners are in a country and how many of those are actually members of professional associations. In some cases, we didn't have the data, but in most we did. And what stood out was that Kenya is the country where most of the practitioners are members, close to 50%, followed by Ireland and then New Zealand, and then it will go down from there onwards. When we jump to looking at the demographics, we found that the ethno-linguistic background was actually quite fascinating. And I think from the previous panel, that was also evident, the diversity that you could see. So this particular question dealt with the ethno-linguistic groups that the respective professional associations identified amongst their members. Now here we defined ethno-linguistic as a group that's unified by a common ethnicity and language. And there were 9 open-ended spaces for associations to complete. So it was very, very interesting that Zambia, South Africa, Australia, Bangladesh, and New Zealand listed the most diverse ethno-linguistic groups, and then Kenya, China, and Ireland and Sweden listing the fewest. If we jump to the gender distribution, of course, the orange there represents the female gender, and so the PR field continues to be female dominated in most countries. There are some exceptions. One of them that stood out was Bangladesh. And then we also opened this up where associations could talk about or indicate any non-binary members or those who don't prefer to indicate their gender, which you can see with the green and the light blue on the slide. If we look at age distribution on the next slide, it's quite varied depending on the country that you're looking at, but the dominant age group for most countries was 35 to 54-year-olds. And perhaps if you look around the room, I'm not sure whether that perhaps holds true. If you look at the person next to you and, guess their age. Of course, it's a sensitive topic for many, so maybe we shouldn't talk about it. But here, what was interesting was that Zambia reported the largest percentage of young practitioners, 18 to 24. This was followed by China, South Africa, and Australia, having a younger representation. The USA, Kenya, and Bangladesh had quite significant percentages in the 65 plus category, which of course is really good. We can build on the wisdom of others. If we look at the next one, education, again, quite a varied sort of representation here in terms of education, but typically your 3 and 4 year bachelor degrees were the most prevalent qualifications. Although Ireland, South Africa, and Hungary reported some 2 to 3 year options as quite popular amongst their members. Interestingly, Kenya and New Zealand have the highest percentage of members with doctoral qualifications. So that was quite an interesting finding. When we look at the context of work, here we looked at agency versus corporate, and we added a category of self-employment, realizing later on that some associations mentioned that those who are in agency are sometimes also self-employed. So it's something that we'll look at in the next iteration of the survey. But here you'll see that the dark blue indicates working in-house. So that is definitely still a dominant context of work for most members. But then, of course, followed by agencies. And it depends also on the country that you look at. Some countries do have a stronger agency presence represented. India, for example, is one of them. When we look at salary on the next one, it seems that in the majority of countries, when we look at the next slide, Rene, you'll find that practitioners earn between 15 and 30,000 euros annually, but the lowest earning countries were Bangladesh, Vietnam, and Zambia. And the highest earning countries were Australia, Ireland, and New Zealand. So those are the countries everyone now probably would want to move to. In terms of benefits, it was very interesting to note that suddenly working from home was seen as the most important benefit. And of course, this is likely influenced by COVID-19 and working from home was very important and lockdowns. So only Ireland really reported that employers pay for education and upskilling, and the Czech Republic noted that pension fund contributions and healthcare are enforced by law. If we look at what you see now, the context of work, it may seem a lot to look at on the slide, but I'll summarize for you very quickly. The most highly regarded functions are content creation, copywriting and editing, media relations and promotions, and crisis and issues management. This is followed by internal employee communication and digital communication. And you could see a little bit of a shift from the 2019 survey towards more strategic and content-driven approaches in public relations. And then when we look at work hours, I think that that one, it was very, very interesting that not a single association indicated that there are members who are not working overtime. So we definitely a hard-working field. And so most indicated 2 hours of overtime, where some report up to 4 and probably more hours working overtime. So this is where I am going to hand over back to Rene to tell you a little bit more about the issues affecting our profession. So back to you, Rene.
Thanks, Corne. In the qualitative data, we identified through thematic analysis and wonderful coding that Anka has her hand in, we identified these themes or these key points, and there were 11 of them. And if we look at the discussion so far today, you will not be surprised that AI is high on the agenda of everyone that participated in the survey. I want to, though, add that the technology and the whole issue around technology and AI, I think to me, to a large extent, and also listening to what we've been saying this morning, I think sometimes we are scared of the unknown, scared of jumping into something like AI, and not sure how to deal with this uncertainty which prevents us from exploring it. There are rules. We heard from Anna, and there were other cases when we did the Student and Young Practitioners Month that also got noted, of how people explore with AI, and sometimes not as forthcoming or transparent as we would want them to be. And so really that will have to be something that we look at. But we need to have a set of courses, and I spoke to Prof. Doreen earlier on when we slipped out for a coffee, that I think we are ready to unite the educational institutions worldwide to offer not only qualifications that is AI supported, but also courses to help our practitioners with CPD points and further development. And I think it's crucial that we move away from just talking about AI and the effects of fake news and all of that, and not doing something about it. So top of the list was technology, and then specifically AI. Fake news, obviously, and how do we counteract fake news? And I was very happy to hear about everybody talking to facts and highlighting how important facts are. That created opportunities, and you can see the whole list there. I think what I liked, and I'm sure Jasper will agree and find that very, very supportive, that we actually recognize the strategic function of public relations, that it is far more complex than what we've been busy with up to now. Then professional associations are specifically focusing with these on CPD and developing their CPD programs. Now, therein lies a lot of development as well. And you know, that's the beauty for me of AI in technology. The world is so much smaller. So world-class training programs can be rolled out to people throughout the world at various stages of their careers and of their education to actually benefit from AI. And it's not something to be scared of. So in conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to just pause here for a minute, that this survey is by no means cast in stone. It's a benchmark, and so has been the other three studies, or this as the third study, the other two studies. But what is beautiful of this round was that we're getting more people continuously to participate in the research and in this survey. And as you know, it is as strong, the data is as strong as the people participating. We have, for a change, good non-binary, and I loved it when some of the speakers in the panels actually spoke about us having to move away from this either or kind of thinking and to an and thinking. What is possible? What can be done if we work together and not against each other? I really think we need to sign before we leave. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm challenging everyone, before we leave on Friday, or before you leave, that we all sign the manifesto of a responsible communicator. This is the opportunity where we put pen to paper. We heard a lot about us being responsible, transparent, etc., etc. Action speaks louder than words. How many of you have signed the Responsible Communication Manifesto that we started during the Student Month in October? It's still a female-dominated world, as we've heard as well before. Education levels are really up there. We have good, and that for me as an educator is good news. There are ways and different paths to the same destination, We need to just be clear about where we are going. The nature of the work is really not really new, even in that sense, because we've also heard today of how the demands in our different roles have shifted from the doing to the being, to the importance of strategy, importance of good, well-developed content, the digital focus that we need to do, the importance of traditional roles and traditional contextual intelligence, as Prof. Anne knows a lot about. And we need a long discussion around that, because as Fiona said this morning, we implement locally and we influence globally. So key issues that we need to look at are obviously AI and the influence, but not to be scared of it, to embrace it and use it in a transparent and responsible way, to deal with fake news. Not that one person is right and the other one is wrong, but that they are facts, and that these facts need to be presented so that people can make their own decision. That will deal with the manipulation and propaganda issues. Industry recognition is really an important aspect, but there was also a great shift. And that was also evident in the last 2 days, when people are saying, but we do have a voice. As a public relations professional, I do sit at the decision-making table. It's not something that we aspire to anymore, but we need to then know what we do with that responsibility. And then, of course, the work context. And there, I think we have a lot of work to do as Global Alliance, because I think we have the questions that we've asked are not always representative of the context, the living environment and experiences of our global participants. So that, ladies and gentlemen, with 30 seconds left, is our presentation.